Hi you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming probably my most requested video that I've ever received here on my channel. Ever since I moved to South Korea, I get so many questions from you guys just asking, how did you do this? What program did you go through? Why did you do it? How long did it take? How much did it cost? All that kind of stuff. So today I'm just gonna be sitting down and I'm going to kind of run you guys through the entire process from, the minute I decided I wanted to move here till the day I got to Korea. So this is probably gonna be a long video, so grab a snack. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I would love if you hit the subscribe button. It's completely free and I just upload vlogs every week about my life living as a teacher here in South Korea. Be sure to check me out on Instagram as well because I'm always posting behind the scenes stuff on there. But anyways, grab yourself a snack, get some water to stay hydrated, and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just put out two little disclaimers. So teaching in Korea is amazing. I would 100% recommend it. However, do not move to Korea to be a teacher if you do not like children. You're going to be spending majority of your time here as a teacher with children. If you don't like kids, if you are not passionate about helping children, you're probably not going to enjoy your life here like 80% of the time because you're going to be spending about 80% of your time at work. So that's the first disclaimer. And the second disclaimer I want to put out there is think very long and hard before you make a move to any other country or any place for that matter. Fortunately, I was in this phase of my life where I felt kind of like pulled to get away, like get out of my comfort zone. But I know it doesn't really work out for everyone. And I've told this story on my channel before, but I know a girl who came all the way out to Korea and then she realized that she didn't really do enough research about this place and she ended up going home within a week of getting here to teach. So those are my two little disclaimers that I wanted to put out there. All right, the next thing I want to say before I jump into like the exact process is one of the reasons that I think so many people are kind of like pulled to teaching abroad is because a lot of times the school pays for your housing. So that is a huge perk of living here. So if you are wondering why I'm not talking about finding a house to live in, it's because I didn't have to find a house to live in here. Pretty much my school had that all organized and I'm pretty sure all teachers in Korea have their house paid for unless you're part-time teacher. I'm a full-time teacher. So yeah, if you're gonna be a full-time teacher, you won't have to worry about finding a place to live. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and get started finally. So let's go back to I guess January of 2019. So I was a senior in college. I was finishing up my senior last semester and I honestly, you guys, I had no idea what I wanted to do as far as a career went. I studied finance and economics in college and while I really enjoyed those topics, I didn't feel passionate at all about them, especially by the time graduation came. I did not want to jump into a banking job or an economics job. All I knew is that I wanted to move out of North Carolina and I was really pulled at the time to moving towards somewhere with a beach. So you guys probably heard me talk on my channel about moving to Florida and that was honestly my plan. I wanted to move somewhere that had warm weather or a beach for that matter, and that's kind of all I knew. So back in January, actually, my brother and his girlfriend asked me, hey, do you want to come on vacation to Asia with us? We're gonna go in May, right when you graduate. And I was like, yes, I would love to come. And they said, okay, we're gonna go to Japan and then we're gonna go to South Korea. Obviously like we booked our flights and everything and I was really excited. I honestly was more excited about going to Japan than Korea because in the West, you don't hear a ton about Korea other than I feel like K-pop is what you hear the most about. So I was really excited to go to Japan and I was like looking forward to Korea, but I didn't really know much about it. And we went to Japan first, had a great time. I loved Japan, and then we came to Korea and I was honestly just blown away by everything here. I fell head over heels for South Korea when I came here. I just loved the culture, I loved the food, I loved the hustle and bustle atmosphere, I loved the city life. I loved everything about it. I mean, obviously like any place you go, there's gonna be some things you don't like about it. So take that with a grain of salt, but I just loved it. And when I left South Korea in May, or actually I left in June, I felt so different from any way I'd ever felt before. And I was like, let me silence my phone. I was like, you know what? I gotta find a way to come back here. I was like, I'm at this point in my life where I haven't had any kind of job set up for me. I literally had just finished college and I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to come back here. While I was over in Seoul, I had met a guy who was an English teacher, and so this guy kind of told me like, yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty nice deal. Like the school pays for your house, you work pretty much 9 to 5. You make pretty good money. And so I had this guy give me a few details, and he pretty much told me you need to find a recruiter, and the recruiter will help you find a job. Now, the first thing you need to know about wanting to be a teacher in South Korea is you need a college degree. You don't need a specific degree though. So I didn't go to school for teaching. You could go to school for literally like aerospace, and you could become a teacher in South Korea if you wanted to. You could go to school for art, and you could be a teacher in South Korea. If you're teaching English, all the schools here really care about is that you are a native English speaker. So there are several different countries that you have to be from, either like the States, Canada, England, South Africa. I might be missing one. I will put them all right here. Those are really the 2 qualifications. You need to make sure you have a bachelor's degree, and you need to be a native English speaker. So I was in this position, and I was like, well, I just got my bachelor's degree, and I'm a native English speaker, and I really want to go back to Korea. So you know what? I think I'm gonna do it. Now, pause for a second. In South Korea, there are 2 types of teachers. You can either be a public school teacher or a private school teacher. To work in a public school, you are going to usually have to go through the EPIC program. And I'm not going to be talking about public schools in this video because I don't teach for a public school. But if you do want to teach for a public school, I'm going to leave my friend Ollie's channel linked below. He is a public school teacher, and he has so many videos on his channel. So if you want to work for a public school, go check out his channel. There are several differences between public and private. I think the biggest difference between public school is you're still at the school for the same amount of hours usually as a private school teacher. You're just teaching less hours, and you're also getting more vacation time. So those are the 2 differences. Oh, and with a public school, if you go through the EPIC program, you do not get to choose your placement. You get to put a preference, but your placement is not definite. So the reason I went with private school is because I knew for a fact that I wanted to pick exactly where I was going to be working. And yeah, so anyways, okay. So I work for a private school. So this guy that I had met when I was in Seoul basically told me you just need to talk to different recruiters, and a recruiter can help you find a job at a private school. So I then went on to Days ESL Cafe, and I'll leave all these links below. And it's pretty much a job posting board, and there were tons of different job postings. And I was like, whoa, there's so many different jobs on here. And so then I figured out, okay, where do I want to live? I had gone on vacation to Seoul, but I had heard about a place called Busan, which had beautiful beaches, and it was still a very big city. And I did some research about Busan, and it just seems like my vibe. And I decided that I wanted to live in Busan, which is where I am right now. So I then went onto this job posting board, and I probably emailed about 15 to 20 recruiters, and I just sent them all the same message. I was just like, hello, my name is Adrienne. I just got back from South Korea. I want to move over there. I have my bachelor's degree in this, and I want to live here. And I want to work these hours, and I want to work with this age. I was very specific. I put out exactly what I wanted, and within like hours I was getting messages back from different recruiters, and like literally within, I want to say like 24 hours, these recruiters were just like, hey, here's a job interview time, like can you be on Skype at this time? This school wants to interview you. So the demand for English teachers here is very, very high, and that's really how it all kind of got started. So then the week I got back from Korea, I would be staying up every night until like 1 a.m. doing all these job interviews because the time difference is 13 hours behind. So I would have to be up in like the middle of the night, and I would just do these different job interviews, and I got a couple different job offers, and I waited until I got a job offer that fit every single thing that I wanted in a job. I think my biggest piece of advice for getting a job in South Korea is to be picky and know your worth. If you are moving all the way across the world to work somewhere, you better be excited and be satisfied with everything that your job is going to be giving you. First of all, you should always do a ton of research about the schools that you are interviewing with. Don't interview with somewhere shady. Don't accept a shady job opportunity if they're not willing to let you talk to any of like their English teachers for like background information. Don't do it, girl. Something I was very picky about was location. I wanted to make sure that I was living in a city. I really wanted that city experience. I didn't want to live anywhere rural. Nothing against that, obviously, but I just wanted to live in a city. And so I made sure I like got the address of my school that I got like the job offer from, and I really liked the location. I made sure to get pictures of the housing. That was another thing that I was like super specific about. I wanted to make sure I knew where I was gonna live and I liked it and everything. And that is how I got my job. It was very straightforward. Within a week of getting back from Korea, I had my job set in stone. So then I got my job offer, and the school pretty much wrote up a contract. They told me what my hours would be. They told me I would be getting paid, you know, X salary, and make sure you read that contract really well. I highly recommend the Reddit Teaching in Korea group. There's a Reddit page, and you can like put your contract on there, and people will just like read over it to make sure nothing sketchy is going on. Once I got my job offer, the school and I then agreed on a time that I could start, and I decided to tell them I could start in the middle of August. I wanted to have like the whole summer just to kind of enjoy the time with my friends and my family, and also like getting a visa is a long process, which I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But yeah, we agreed on around August 20th, and then my school pretty much just told me, okay, like we'll book you the flight, let's get started with your visa process, and then in a few weeks we will book your flight. So yeah, I mean, it's free for you to literally fly over to Korea because the school does pay for your flight. I've never heard of a school not paying for your flight. If they're not willing to pay for your flight, don't work with them. But that was another perk. The school paid for my flight. I know some schools, they reimburse you. I was picky though, and I was like, y'all gotta pay for my flight. I'm not shelling out that money right now. Yeah, so that's how I got the actual job. So getting the job was very simple, very simple process for me. I think I lucked out because at the time I was looking, I think there were a ton of open positions. But I think for the most part, like in Korea, like there's so many of these private schools that it's really common, I think, to just like be able to get a job pretty quickly. And now I'm gonna be talking about how I got the visa, because that was a whole process within itself. That was a whole 3-month debacle. Everything went really smooth. It was just a very slow, time-consuming, money-consuming process. So obviously, if you're gonna be moving somewhere for a job, you need to have a visa. And what's great about teaching in Korea is as soon as you get your job offer, the school will then sponsor your visa. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I gonna like be granted a visa or not? Like, you will be, they're gonna sponsor it. So pretty much there's a few steps in getting a visa. I'm sorry if this is confusing, but I'm gonna try and say it as clear as I can. So the first step I had to do was get a criminal background check. You have to have a clean record to teach in Korea. So first I had to go to a police station, I had to get my fingerprints scanned, and I then had to send my fingerprints to the FBI, and I think it costs about $100. Be prepared to spend a little bit of money on your visa. I think in total it cost me about maybe like $500 or $600. But yeah, I sent my fingerprints off to the FBI, and about 2 weeks later, they sent me back a form, and it pretty much just said, this is to confirm that Adrian Hill has a clean criminal record. In the meantime, while I was waiting for my background check to come back to me, I was reaching out to my university trying to get my diploma, and eventually my diploma did come in the mail. And I then photocopied my diploma and I took it to a bank and I got it notarized, which pretty much is like an official stamp that they put on the photocopy just so that South Korea knows my diploma is legitimate. So step 2 was getting my diploma notarized. Once I had my FBI background check returned to me and I had my diploma notarized, I then took those 2 documents to my Secretary of State and they put an apostille on it, which getting a document apostilled I think is just another step of confirming that the documents are legitimate. Don't quote me on that, but it was another stamp that I got put on the documents, and it was another, I think, $100. By that point, it was July 13th, and I was now ready to send my diploma as well as my background check along with several other forms to South Korea so that my school could then take them to the embassy to get my visa sponsored. So the other forms that I sent, your recruiter is going to help you with all of this, by the way. You're not going to be on your own. The other forms I sent included like a health statement, just like checking off boxes that I didn't have any like infectious diseases or anything, and there was also a visa application form. I also had to include, I think, a money order for like the visa fee, and then I put them all in an envelope and I sent it via DHL. You need to send your documents anytime in this process, you need to send them with some kind of professional carrier other than like USPS, because you need to get your documents there fast. Obviously, if you're sending your stuff with USPS to Korea, it's gonna take like weeks for your stuff to get there. So you do have to invest, I think, about like $50 to send your stuff to Korea, I think it costs. All right, so yeah, I sent my documents to South Korea. A few weeks went by, my recruiter, you know, brought my documents to my school, and then my school took the stuff to the embassy, and then I was granted a visa PIN number. So that is pretty much another step in the visa process. And then my recruiter then like emailed me and she was like, hey, here's your visa PIN number. You now have to fill out this form. And she sent me another form. She was like, put the visa PIN number on this form and send this form and your passport to your closest consulate, which a consulate is pretty much a place in America or all over the world where you can like get your actual visa granted to you. So I then had to send my passport in the mail and this form together to a consulate. Now by this point it was, oh, I want to say it was like August 10th. It was a very long process. I sent my stuff to my closest consulate, which was in Georgia. If you are lucky enough, you can literally just drive there and drop it off and then come back in about a week. But I had to send mine via mail. So I sent it, and then I will show you guys. I think my passport is somewhere in here. All right, so then about a week later, they sent me my passport back. And keep in mind, this was like a week before I was planning on moving to Korea. I don't want to call it last minute, but it really was kind of a last minute process. But I'm gonna show you this page in my passport. So they sent it back to me, and it had, right here, it had my little visa sticker that I waited so long and worked so hard for. And it was just the best feeling ever having my official visa in my hands. So yeah, it's just a page in my passport. And then obviously, like when you go to Korea, you go through immigration and they can confirm that you're gonna be there for a hot minute. All right, so once I had my visa in my hands, I was pretty much good to go. That was literally the last step. I can't even explain how good it felt to finally have like the last document in my hand that I had worked so hard for. And even though it's a very like simple step-by-step process, it was just so much waiting and sending this document there and this document there. You also have to get like passport photos taken for different documents, and I promise you, if you are working with a good recruiter, they will guide you along the way. And yeah, then the next week after I got my visa back in the mail, I boarded a plane and I moved to Busan, and it's been an amazing experience so far. I definitely do want to do more videos about like, you know, sitting down and just talking to you guys about different aspects of life here, because I know I do a ton of vlogging, but there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes as far as like working and just like living in a new country when like you don't speak the language is definitely, you know, hard, but it's such a rewarding experience and it's so much fun, and I really do love this place, and I feel so lucky, so lucky to call this place my home. Another thing I just wanted to state is maybe like tell you guys some of my favorite things about teaching in Korea, because I'm sure if you are new to this topic, you're probably like, why would you want to move across the world to be a teacher if you didn't even go to school for teaching? So the first amazing part about teaching in Korea is you get to, it's such a rewarding job. Like you are teaching all these cute little kids how to speak another language, and that is really, really rewarding. If you like children, you'll find it very rewarding. The second thing is your housing is paid for, so you don't have to worry about paying rent. The third amazing thing is you get paid pretty well as a teacher here, and you probably won't ever feel low on money because your housing is paid for, and then on top of it, you get a nice salary, so that's another really awesome perk. The fourth thing is you feel like you're always growing. I personally feel like I'm always growing here, because if I'm ever bored, I can just go and study the language, or I can go explore a new area. So it's really, really hard here to feel bored or like you're not really growing, because I feel like when you're in another country, you're constantly like evolving. And the fifth amazing thing is you are completely out of your comfort zone, and it is the best thing ever, in my opinion. I know not everybody is gonna like being out of their comfort zone, but every day I wake up and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm literally living and working across the world right now. What is my life? So it's just a really good feeling to know that like you have the ability to do something so amazing that some people would never like dream of doing, if that makes sense. So those are 5 really amazing things about living here, in case you were curious. If you guys found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know down below in the comments what other type of sit down videos you want to see here. But that's about it. I love you guys so much, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.